Hello and welcome to this year's Cozy Quest panel called Making It On Our Own, Small Teams and Solo Dev Journeys. I'm Vicky from Secret Mode, your panel host for today. And as you can see, I'm joined by some lovely small teams and solo devs. And at the risk of sounding like we're on a dating show, hello Dev number one, what's your name and where do you come from? Louis, I'm going to pass to you.
Hi, I'm Louis Durrant, and I make games under carrotcake. Most recently, I've released The Garden Path, which is a game I've been working on since 2018, so we released last year. It's the third game I've released publicly, so I've also made some more experimental games for sale, but it's my first major release, I guess you could say, yeah.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Erik.
And we made Echoes of the Plum Grove. We are Unwound Games, and we launched our game last year. It was our first game. We started working on it in 2018, and yeah.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Holly and Harvey, I'll come to you next.
Hello, I'm Holly Hudson, co-founder of Studio Morgan and art director on Morgan Metal Detective.
Hi, I'm Harvey Heyman, game designer, game developer, producer, a bit of everything on Studio Morgan and Morgan Metal Detective. And Holly, do you want to introduce the game?
Yeah, so it's our debut game. Released it on all platforms earlier this year. It's a cozy exploration game set on a Cornish island, and you explore using your trusty metal detector.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And lastly, Mélanie and Aurélien, can you please introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'm Mélanie.
And I'm Aurélien.
And we are Humble Reads. We released our first game, Kamaeru, a Frog Refuge, last year. And we are working on another game called Heidi's Legacy. We are still in development and we still have 1 year to go. And we are excited to be here today.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Now, I'm going to get straight into the meat of this panel, which is called Making It On Our Own, Small Teams and Solo Dev Journeys. And I'm sure that a lot of people, including myself, have an idea for a game in them. And I'm looking for some tips for anyone else who's looking to make a game by themselves. Any essential skills, tools, networks, resources? Who would like to start us off with that one?
Yeah, I can go.
Thank you, Louis.
I think my number one thing I think is never make the first idea that you have. I think everyone wants to make has this big bold idea, and I think for your first game, or even think of like 3 games and sort of think of them in stages of complexity, but everything is always 10 times more complicated than you think it's going to be. So maybe your first game could be just like tickling a frog or something. I don't know. Like my first game, I was just like, I just want a game where you have to cross a bridge and there's just 3 things that are stopping you from crossing that bridge. Start small, and you can go bigger and bigger and bigger, but take those baby steps, and then you can come to your first idea. Even if your first idea seems like a good idea at that point, I think that's wise.
That's such a great piece of advice. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to weigh in with any more tips? Anyone else have anything?
Yeah, so we didn't do that, and our biggest problem with our game was overscope. So definitely keep it small the first time, especially if you're not used to game making. If this is something you're just dabbling in, take it easy, do it small, because, we didn't do that. And that was, it was a lot.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Anyone else for anyone else?
I think game jams are so key. Sorry, Harvey, did I just cut you off there?
We're in sync.
It's all good.
I think game jams is such a great example of starting small and finishing something. So getting a game that's playable, getting it on itch, and having that on your portfolio is just key. And it's so fun as well. Game jams are great.
Yeah, I think it's like finishing things is like the most important, and like quite a good goal to set for yourself is releasing on like itch.io. Like it's completely free to put it on there, and like it's that catharsis of getting it out into the world and being able to move onto the new thing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So for me, I don't have a talented bone in my body. I wouldn't know where to start with making a game. I never coded a game. I'm not good with art. So where would you even start? And I'm going to come to Louis on this one because I know that Louis has a lot of great ideas.
I think my main thing is don't be, similar to what I was saying last time, don't think too big. There's there's games that just are buttons. Buttons are games, games are buttons, where you just click it and the number will go up. So I promise you anybody could program that, give it a weekend. I always think of the example that George Martin like learned the guitar for the Beatles and the Beatles learned the piano for George Martin. I think you have to kind of just dip your toes in everything just a little bit and sort of gather that appreciation. And then I think you'll be surprised with what you can make. And at the end of the day, like, I think programming languages are called languages for a reason. If you can type a sentence, I think you can type a line of programming. It can get very, very complicated, but realistically, you're just doing mostly the same logic patterns again and again and again that you learn quite early on. So don't be intimidated and just give it a go. Make something simple. I think that's key.
Where would you start with making something? Is there a sort of program that you can recommend for someone just starting out? Is there something that's quite accessible for a first timer?
Yeah, I mean, I think Godot is a great starting point. I mean, it's where I started and it's where I've ended up. It's basically where I've spent 99% of my game dev time. It's very similar programming to Python, but I think, don't be intimidated by Python. Just have an idea of a game that you want to make, again, even if it's as simple as a button that makes a number go up, and just give it a go, force yourself to make it, and then, see where you're at.
Nice. I'm going to come to Mélanie next, because Mélanie held up a plushie of the Godot icon and mascot, so I'm guessing that you also have some experience with that.
So actually, Aurélien is more of the programmer in our team. So I'm not fiddling in Godot, just, modifying everything that he does. Like if you are starting out, you just learn by doing, I would say. So if you have a dream game, but that is reasonable, that you can do by yourself, you just need to pick up tutorials and just do it and just finish things in order to be able to do bigger things. But I would say that most games are a bit more complicated. Whenever you envision something, they often need multiple people. Like it's like a symphony. You need several people for it to work. So it would be wise to find some people to work with, because it can be a lot to just do everything by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, can I jump in? Yeah, so our game that we made it in Unity, and we're prototyping some other games at the moment, and we're now moving to Unreal Engine. And I think for anyone that's sort of a bit nervous about programming, blueprints in Unreal Engine is such a good way to go, because I'm a very visual thinker. I do all the art side of things, so when it comes to programming, it's not me. But with blueprints, I find that it's so much more accessible. So there are loads of tutorials online of just setting up character controllers and things like that. So I think giving those a go and seeing what works for you is also really cool.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think Sarah's itching to jump in here.
Oh, just one thing. It's funny. Yeah, I agree with the Unreal thing. I actually learned Unreal in school first, and then we went to Unity. We made Unity with Echoes, or Echoes with Unity. But when it comes to the art, because I'm the art side and he's the programming side, I always tell people, go to the basics. Go draw outside. Go draw a person. Go, so it's like figuring out your eye to make sure that, improving your artistic eye is really, really important. And I always just tell people, go to the basics, because it's, take a class, just draw around, because that is more important. Your eye is more important than technically, like everything you can learn, technologically, art-wise, because that's always going to change in like 30 seconds. So that's my advice, art side. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into it. What are the highs and lows of being a small team or a solo dev? There's got to be definite challenges, but I'm sure there's also some rewards as well. Aurélien, I'm going to come to you because you've been quite quiet so far, so let's talk to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's start with the upside. I think actually being a small team is really an advantage. Because games, and especially indie games, are a lot about passion. And it's easier to put all your passion into a game if you're either alone or in a smaller team. I think it's much more difficult in bigger teams. Sometimes there are also leadership issues. People don't agree. You have to have a strong creative vision to really hold people together. When you're in a small team, it's obviously a bit easier to do that. And passion is really key. Now, these upsides also bring downsides, which is that maybe it's involving a bit more stress and workload, obviously, if you're alone. And there's also something that has to do with the quality of games, which is that if you have less vision, less people working in it, maybe you get less input and less variety into your game, which may be a downside. But honestly, I think, that's been our experience, at least in our small team of 2 people, which is that really, we love it. We really like being small, and we intend to stay that way.
Oh, that's wonderful. Anyone else want to weigh in on some challenges or some rewards of being a small team with solo dev?
I can just add that when you are just 2 or 1 people, you are going very fast. You are iterating very fast because you just have an idea, you execute it, and then you test it out, and it allows you to make things really, really go fast. And when you are a lot of people, it can be a lot slower and less iterating. So you end up with a product that has been less tested in the end. So yeah, being just 2 is allowing us to iterate very fast.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it does help, especially since we're also a couple. So we made most of the game. We did hire some freelancers for some things, but overall, I was the art, he was the programming, and it's a lot easier when we were working in the same room. And yeah, we love being small as well. But you do take on a lot of responsibilities, like a lot of things you didn't expect. So ups and downs, but having the control over what you do, I think, is kind of, especially creative wise, and
the artistic vision is easier to grab onto.
So that's what I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I think let's crack on. So the next thing is, Sarah's just mentioned that it feels like you're doing a lot and you're doing everything, and that from the outside it can seem like that. And this panel is called Making It on Our Own, but can you really make it on your own, or do you need to get outside help?
Yeah, well, you do have to work with people. I guess the most relevant example is probably music. Most indie studios have to work with external music freelancers very often. And actually, you when you are indie dev, you get a lot of emails from a lot of music freelancers
we get it all
offering
the time.
their services. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a sign usually. You do have to work with people on localization, unless you speak 10 languages, obviously. And sometimes you really need something very specific. You want a specific animation, you want a specific art style, you want something really, and then you need help, clearly. And it's actually super interesting to work with other people and, to get their input into your game. And sometimes they also have great ideas on other stuff than what you hired them from. Like our musician is actually very interested in game design, and he's a game designer also, so he also always has a nice insight.
Yeah, so we had a really close relationship with our publisher. So our publisher is also a porting developer, it's Subsilico, and we got involved with Subsilico really early on in the project, really, and basically became like another developer on the project. And he became like fundamental to the work that we were doing, and we hadn't really long come out of university, so all the code that I've written, getting a real professional developer to look at it, he's like, oh, that's all rubbish.
Oh, no.
Helping to improve a lot of it, and the game's so much better as a result of working with an actual professional. And it's a treat to work with someone who's actually really good at their job.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thinking of publishers, I feel like some people do self-publish, but I think when it comes to things like making it a commercial success, finding the markets, managing the platforms, a lot of the time it's building community, wink wink, we do that. If you needed help, a publisher is quite often the way to go. But how many of you have self-published and how many of you have brought on a publisher? Does anyone want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, we had a publisher for our first game, and we are taking kind of halfway the self-publishing route with the next one.
Nice.
We'll see where it takes us.
Wonderful. Is there a specific reason why you want to self-publish the next one?
Well, people will talk a lot about publishers without mentioning the fact that they actually have a cost.
Yes, of course.
I mean, they take a cut, which is normal, and well, it's a cut you have less in your pocket. So you have to make the calculation whether it's actually worth the fight for you, depending on what they can offer. And publishers do not offer only money. There's also a lot of leverage on marketing and getting platforms. Like obviously, a big platform will have more, will be less, will be answering the phone, let's say it bluntly, maybe more than a small solo dev. So if it's a publisher who's calling. So yeah, wonderful. I guess it has lots of advantages.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, good on you for self-publishing as well. That's a lot of hard work. So we've just talked about money and self-publishing, but how about self-funding? I think it was Sarah and Melanie who want to take this one. So Sarah, I'll come to you first on this one.
So for us, we were self-funded for about 4 years, and then being in America, there's very limited government
assistance.
Yeah, there's really nothing unless you're making a completely educational game, which we dabbled a little bit, but not enough to do anything with. So it's really only really if you can find a sponsor or basically publisher. So we went with the publisher route. We also wanted to find someone who could help us with marketing and other things that were mentioned before. So yeah, there are definitely plus sides and negative sides to working with a publisher, but for us it was the funding, and it worked out really great for us. But I definitely know that the current situation in this industry is pretty scary right now, in terms of funding. So yeah, it's something that already is changing from last year when we were looking to now, where I've heard from a lot of devs, it's just getting harder and harder to find funding in general. In the States, again, Europe is a little different. So that's our take on it.
Cool. Talking of Europe being a little bit different, Melanie, I'm sure that you have something to give here.
Yeah, definitely. So we are based in France, Aurélien and I, and we do have some schemes, some public funding that allowed us to really get kickstarted. Like for Kamaeru, for example, we applied to public subsidies for the prototype. And that allowed us to make a really tight prototype that we could pitch our publisher with, and that really helped us land a deal. And for the next game, we are having what we call in France a tax rebate, which is a crédit d'impôt. So whatever expenses that we make, we get 30% back in terms of tax rebate. So that's really helping us to have a big chunk of the production funded. But the public funding is not guaranteed. You have to apply with lots of paperwork, with lots of a very good pitch deck that is really formatted for the public. And we do also have some European subsidies. I'm talking about creative media, which is pretty hard to get, but it can go up to, I don't know the exact number, I think it's 200k of funding, up to 200k euros of funding, but you have to apply very early, and not many people get it. And also the paperwork is very heavy on this one, but it's definitely, we have some schemes that allow us to get funded, but most of the funding we got for the first game came from our publisher.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to weigh in on this topic?
I can talk a bit about the UK.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so there's a funding body in the UK called the UK Games Fund, and it has two streams of funding: Prototype Fund and the Content Fund. And Prototype Fund is up to 30k, I think, and it's basically to cover the development of a prototype, which you can then use to pitch to potential publishers. And this is open to quite young companies, but the lion's share of funding will go to more established companies, because it's just a safer investment for UK Games Fund. And Content Fund, that's available to more established projects that have also received match funding or a promise of match funding from a publisher. And funding for that goes potentially up to 200k. It's 150, but I don't think many people actually get that. It's usually a bit lower. There's also some regional funds. There's one in Wales called Creative Wales. There's Northern Ireland's Screen, and that one's really generous. So like if you live in Northern Ireland, like have a chat with an ice cream, they're great. And if you're Welsh, definitely have a chat with Creative Wales. And then there's funds that are available to the entire world, right? Like Wings, but they don't give a load of funding. It's mainly for marginalised devs. We haven't got any of this money.
Oh no!
but like it's there.
I think you just need, you need to know where to look, and then you need to be willing to fill out all the paperwork.
yeah.
They make you work for it, don't they? You got to do all the paperwork first.
Yeah. We've tried, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I think the only person who hasn't shared is Louis. Do you have anything to share on this one, or shall we skip to the next topic?
Yeah, you could always do what I did, which is just bootstrap the whole thing yourself, use the skills you learn't as a game dev to do freelance jobs, and then just live on lentils for 6 years. It works. Well, it worked for me, so I don't know. A bit of a strange case. We did do a Kickstarter that was mainly for localization, and when we sent it over to the guys who did the Switch port. But everything else, when you do 99% of the game, if there's other ways you can make money. I know plenty of people who do waitressing jobs or, just jobs around town. They pick up a few hours here and there, work at a cinema. I don't know. There's things you can do. It will make the game take longer to come out, of course, because you're throwing away a bit of time, but it can work out, I guess.
Yeah, I got to say, working in a cinema was my favoritist job ever.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. If I could go back in time and tell myself to do that for the entire time I was at uni, that was be my one piece of advice for myself, my past self. Okay, we're almost at the end of our panel, but there are a few more questions that I'd love to ask you guys. And one of them is about TikTok. Marketing online, like a lot of people think, if I just can go viral on TikTok, my game is going to do so well. And I'm sure that that's not the reality. I'm sure that you do have to use more than a bit of TikTok for your marketing. So who wants to weigh on this? I think, Holly, I can see you smiling there.
Yes. Yeah. It's really hard. Like, social media is a whole job in itself. But when you're wearing all these different hats, one day you're making 3D assets and the next day you're having to run the social media accounts. And the thing that I've taken away from it is consistency. So you're not realistically just going to post something and it's not going to go viral just like that. But having your journey online for people to go and look at is really key. And then also in-person events and festivals are also such a big thing as well. So actually meeting people that want to play your game in person, and they can recognize who the team are behind it, which makes it just feel much more personal. But yeah, like TikTok is really hard, but I think just getting into the habit of getting content, filming behind the scenes stuff, and then just posting that as you go. Yeah, that's all you can do, really.
Wonderful, but there is a lot more to it than that, isn't there? You can't just hope for just hope and pray that you get a viral TikTok and your game is going to sell millions.
No, unfortunately.
Has anyone gone viral on TikTok and had their game sell millions?
Not me.
Definitely tried.
Yeah, we didn't, but at the same time, one of the advice I'd give is, since social media is such its own job, as was said before, if you're not passionate about it, some people are very passionate about social media. I'm old. I didn't grow up with it, really. So we hired out for it, and it was the best thing we ever did. So if you have a passion for it and you really like to be involved, do it yourself. But for us, it was just much easier just to hire someone who was really good at it. And we just focused on Discord, where we're more happy with just keeping it more local and smaller. But yeah, TikTok is, it's its own special place.
You've mentioned Discord. I'm in your Discord, and it is always so active and lively. How on earth do you manage that community?
Honestly, like it's actually really easy. We just keep on it every day, and we just read everyone's posts and comment where we have to. But mainly just being honest with your fans, because it's all about them in the end. It's not about what, in the end, it's about them. So, we just like to ask them questions and, know that they're heard. And, you'd be surprised how awesome people can be on Discord.
The best part about working on a cozy game is that the communities are generally very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. Do you have one final question? Would anyone like to offer one final piece of advice? I'm going to come to each of you. What is one final piece of advice, one golden nugget of information that you could leave folks with? And Sarah, I'm going to come to you first.
Don't overscope.
Wonderful. Louis, golden nugget.
Reach out to people. Make games as a solo, but if you're just by yourself, then the highs are isolated and the lows are isolated. So make games, but with other people, around other people, and reach out to people and connect with people. And people are great. I love people. So don't do it by yourself. No person is an island.
Wonderful. Holly and Harvey, one golden nugget from you guys.
I would also just add on to the people. The games industry is so friendly. Reach out to people and just network.
Finish it, get it out, move on. You'll make something better the next time. Keep going.
Amazing. Melanie, golden nugget from you.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to come after all this. Like, I agree with everything. Don't overscope, talk to people, and ship it.
3 golden nuggets right there. Wow. And lastly, Aurélien, you're going to make it a really good one. One really good golden nugget for us.
Yeah, I would say don't do games for money. Do it for the passion. And the passion is actually what will make your game work. Don't think about making millions on that. That just doesn't exist. It won't happen. Just do the games because of passion, and people will love you for it.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for joining me for this panel today. I would like you all just to reintroduce yourself very quickly and tell us about your game, where people can find it. Louis, I'm going to come to you first.
I'm Louis Durrant. I'm a solo dev and I made the Garden Path. You can check out Garden Path stuff at From carrotcake on most social platforms. And if you want to see more of what I'm doing, louisdurrant.art. It's just my name, .art. And I got all my socials on there. So
wonderful. Sarah and Erik, please remind us about yourselves and your game.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erik.
And we made Echoes of the Plum Grove. We have a website, and we have
Unwoundgames.com.
And our socials are all on there as well.
And we're on our games on Steam, Xbox, and Switch. Xbox is new for that. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. Holly and Harvey, please tell us about yourself and your game. Remind everybody where they can buy it.
I'm Holly Hudson. I'm one of the co-founders of Studio Morgan.
Yeah, and I'm Harvey, also one of the co-founders of Studio Morgan. And you can play our game Morgan Metal Detective now on PC, on Switch, on Xbox and PlayStation, and you can find more about us on our website, studiomorgan.games, and all the social media handles as well.
Amazing. Mélanie Aurélien.
I'm Mélanie. I'm co-founder of Humble Reads.
I'm Aurélien. I'm the other co-founder of Humble Reads, and you can play our past game, the Frog game, on you can find the socials and everything you need to know on www.frog.game, very easy. And our new game is about Heidi, the Heidi novel. You can find everything about that on www.heidi.game, also very simple.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining me for this panel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us for Cozy Quest, and I'll see you all and speak to you all real soon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.